Hello and welcome. I'm so glad I get to spend some time with you all today. I'm bringing you two amazing chronicpreneurs that have a podcast about chronic illness, and they've written a book soon to publish. Theirs is a really interesting story, especially if you're considering doing either podcasting or writing. But first, let me remind you that Patients Getting Paid is more than a podcast. It's a membership community where people with chronic illness learn to find and create remote work that both accommodates their health and generates an income. And the support you receive from other chronicpreneurs to help you find your path and travel it successfully is amazing. To learn more or to join us, go to patientsgettingpaid.com. Hope to see you on the inside. My guests today are Lita Thomas and Jean Marie McNamara, hosts of the popular podcast called PodcastDX, a weekly interview-based podcast series where patients provide experience-based medical insight in a peer-to-peer format. I've been a guest on that show, and not only was it fun, they extracted solid information from me about living my life with MS. Lita is a retired Army tank mechanic turned global logistics manager. She has her master's in recreational therapy. She's a lifelong caregiver, mother, and nana. She's caring and accepting of all people and likes to undertake random acts of kindness. We need more Litas in the world. Her brilliance is only slightly tarnished by early onset Alzheimer's disease. Jean Marie is Lita's daughter. Lita roped Jean Marie into helping with the podcast. A retired military officer, she has a traumatic brain injury resulting in POTS and depression. These two firecracker chronicpreneurs not only host this wonderful podcast, but they've written a book about their lives, and it's about to be published. Theirs is quite a story. Let's go meet them. Hello, ladies. How are you both doing? Thanks for being here today.
We're doing great.
Good morning.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
So glad y'all are here. I like spending time with you. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. How about each of you share what you were doing prior to your diagnosis?
Sure. So I was I finished my initial enlistment contract with the Illinois Army National Guard. So I had served 7 years, and I had re-upped for 2 years, went to officer candidate school, earned my commission, and was actually on active duty at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri at the time of my accident. And in the civilian world, I was working in analytical chemistry, had planned to outrank my parents. I was dating an amazing man and was going to start a family. And I also once had to hide a naked man in my wall locker, but that
Okay,
is
whoa.
you'll have to find in the book.
Oh, what a teaser. That was great. Good for you. Marketing.
Yeah. Right. And before my daughter's injury, I was on active duty in the Army as part of a combined logistics force. I worked at U.S. Transcom. And once I had to run a bunch of amputated fingers across the base, but there's more about that in the book as well.
What? Oh my God, y'all are masters at this tease thing. I can't wait to read it. Oh my gosh.
That's not even the most shocking.
Holy
Those
cow.
Those are not the most shocking.
No, you will be floored.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
The jaw drops and
Yes.
it doesn't close again until you're done with the book.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. All right, so, wow. And let's get to the part, if you would start, Jean Marie, about
Sure.
you mentioned an accident. And
Yes.
in the intro, we mentioned a TBI and
Yes.
POTS and depression. So can you tell us a little something about that?
Sure. I had a head, neck, and shoulder injury while on active duty, and it was the result of a training accident. And it ended my military career. It ended my civilian career. At the time I was injured, I couldn't stay. They didn't allow you to stay in the military if you were disabled. Now that's changed dramatically. They encourage people to stay now. And my injury after that, I couldn't walk, I couldn't swallow, I couldn't breathe on my own.
Gosh.
I had difficulty communicating. Talking was a real problem. I needed assistance 24/7. And it was everything that you don't have physical control over yourself.
Yeah.
Your autonomic nervous
Right,
system.
your autonomic nervous
Right.
system, my blood pressure, my pulse, my digestive system, everything was damaged because it was at the hindbrain and the cerebellum.
Oh,
And
goodness.
so I've had some pretty serious brain surgeries, and things have gotten better.
Much better.
Much better. I'm also
Good.
taking medication that helps keep my blood pressure up so I can walk.
Oh.
But I still black out. I still pass out. I have migraines. I still have
Oh,
trouble swallowing. Still have, lots of issues as far as that goes.
Oh, gosh, I'm
and
sorry
like the
to
little
hear that.
things that nobody wants to talk about, but some of us will,
Yes.
using catheters and things like that.
Yes.
So for you pea brains out there,
I love that.
you know that
Yeah.
it's a challenge. Life can
Yes.
be a challenge, and I've just been working with it. And right now I'm just trying to focus on getting my migraines under control a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and also working on my cardiovascular health, balance, and strength.
Right.
Wow. Quite the challenges.
Yes,
Quite the resilient woman, too.
I try.
Um, well, thanks for sharing that. And Lita, if you'll share about your early onset
Sure.
Alzheimer's.
Well, first let me back up
A little bit.
A little bit
Sure.
before that. When Jean was injured, like I said, I was on active duty.
Yeah.
And luckily, I was able to rotate out 6 months later. But at the time, I was doing logistical planning at U.S. Transcom, which is 4 hours south of Chicago. And after Jean's initial evaluations, it looked like she was going to need a lot more of my help at home. So I requested my retirement at that point, and I packed up my gear and headed home. But I didn't. It was like just a faint problem at that point. So this was back in 2000, and when
Okay.
I say faint, it really faint. I'm not going to give away any military secrets, but there are, let's say, each unit in.
Well, let's say.
No, I'm not going to give away.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not. She has to protect me because I do now.
Right.
My Alzheimer's is at a
She's
point
not going to ever give away any military secrets.
ever.
Good.
Ever.
She'll stop me.
She'll forget them. No, I was going to say, like, I noticed that there was a change because your sentence structure was off.
But
Oh,
the
interesting.
important part of my job at Transcom was transporting all of the troops that were needed for Operation Desert Storm. That's
Wow.
what I was doing. And each unit is given a series of numbers. I'm not even going to say how many numbers, but it's a series of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, this unit is called this series of numbers. And then
Gotcha.
you can
Or
organize.
letters or
Yes,
Mhm.
right.
symbols.
You can organize them and put them onto ships, onto planes, to get them over to the war. And everybody else in my team, it was a combined logistics team. So I was Army, I had Navy, we had a
Air Force, Coast Guard.
right. We had a large circular table.
We're going into way too much detail.
You know, it's interesting.
It is.
All the way
It
around,
is.
all the
It
way,
is.
all
It
the
is.
way
I just
around,
don't
because
wanna-
it gives a little bit of
Right,
a little
a
bit of
flavor.
background of how people work behind the scenes on
Yes.
a war. And everybody in my corral there could memorize these numbers.
Mm.
And they would, like Navy over there would be calling over and say, yeah, da 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 da. Are
Right.
they on this ship? I'm like, and I'd have to look it up.
Oh.
Where Air Force is waiting, Coast Guard is waiting, and I'm like, I gotta look it up. Everybody else, it's right at the top of their. And
Yeah.
I used to have that brain, no longer. So that's when I first started noticing a problem, but I kind of pushed it down,
Yeah.
and I said,
It's just
maybe
stress.
it's nerves, maybe
Right.
it's stress.
Sure.
Because I was the low man on the totem pole. Everybody outranked me. I mean, by leaps and bounds. And I was trying to do my darndest to do
Yeah.
a great job, but I couldn't keep up with the numbers, and I'd always be one step behind. So I don't think they really minded when Jean got injured and I had to bow
They're like,
out.
okay, see you later.
Let's get somebody else from the Army in here.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank
So
you for
maybe
sharing that.
Maybe
Yeah.
it was really a good time to bow out.
Wow. Well, thank you both for sharing that.
Mhm.
So,
and I would say that even though my diagnosis ended both of our military careers, it never ended our passion and desire, like to help people.
yes, well,
So
that's
that's something-
obvious.
Yeah, that's
That
really
is
true.
obvious. And that leads really well into this next question, which was, how did you get into podcasting? Because you've shared with me that this doesn't generate an income. So
Yeah.
what is your motivation for doing a podcast? I think you probably just answered that question, but I know how much work they are too. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo.
We came about it in a very roundabout way.
Right.
Not the way you would expect.
Absolutely. 17 years after Jean's initial injury and subsequent surgeries, Jean and I were in North Carolina at Duke Medical for 3 months working on our book and improving our overall health and fitness. But we ended up extending our stay because my cousin was accepted for a liver transplant as a patient there at Duke. We live in Chicago. Duke is at North Carolina.
Right. And she was living in Chicago as well.
Right.
But she had been on the list here for over a year. And her father had recently passed away because he had been on the list prior to her joining the list.
Chicago, it's hard to get a liver.
It's very hard.
So we had to fly her out, and she stayed with us for the pre-op testing, and then about 2 weeks of just waiting for a donor, and then 10 weeks of post-op to ensure that she was on the good road for recovery. But during that time, we learned from our neighbor next door. The whole neighborhood was...
It was a block of houses owned by traveling nurses, and they rented them out to patients that were receiving procedures at Duke. And when our neighbors moved in next door, because we were there initially for ourselves, they said, "Oh, are you here for an organ transplant?" And we said, "No, why would we?" And they're like, we're here from Boston for a liver because they do twice as many liver transplants here as anywhere else. They happen to split the liver into mirror images and donate that. Right? And they keep them. They use a hot box technology where there's hot or body temperature blood constantly pumping through. And they do one thing that makes a huge difference. If someone, for example, overdoses, often those organs are rejected out of hand by hospitals. They always send a team to the location to actually evaluate the organs on site and make a decision based on that.
Because what if the person was a first-time user?
Right.
And it was a fentanyl overdose. You hear about these all the time.
All the time.
Well, the liver might be perfect.
Right.
The liver might not have been affected at all, but the person overdosed from the fentanyl.
And many hospitals will simply read the description and reject based
it.
on
And that may be why Chicago has a backlog and Duke is pumping them out.
And there also is a little weird, quirky thing where as people settled across the United States, they would settle out in specific areas. So you might have more people with A positive blood in a certain region and more people with O negative blood in another region. So if you do need an organ transplant, and I know things have changed a bit, but it behooves you to find out where is the greatest chance of my getting a transplant.
Oh my gosh.
Where are there more of those blood types?
Wow.
And at that time, you could register in more than one region.
You still could.
Oh, you still can. Okay, but you have to get there within 4 hours.
Right.
Which seems like, airports and everything.
Yes.
We live across the street from a private air park. Our neighbors across the street all have private airplanes. So we put out a next door thing saying, could someone fly her out if they call and say we have an organ? And everyone was like, yes.
Oh my gosh.
We will make that happen. But it turned out she flew out and they said, well, don't go anywhere. We already have a liver for you.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Y'all have the best stories.
but we learned so much during that I guess it was an extra 3 months that we were there.
Yes.
We learned so much about how to care for somebody with a liver transplant.
And how much we didn't know.
Yeah, that we said, Jean was always listening to podcasts. I mean, that was her life.
I would often comment, oh my gosh, you won't believe what I just heard on this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I do the same thing.
My mother had never listened to them. Ever.
Right.
And she goes, oh, well, yeah, we should start our own podcast. And I thought, well, first you might want to listen to it. Just saying.
That's great. So you listened, you liked, and you said, let's start one. How did you decide on what to make it about?
Just because of that experience at Duke,
how helpful our neighbors were.
Right. I said we've got to share. We've got to share all this information. And at first, I thought it was just going to be transplants because I had donated a kidney years before that, and my cousin
of course you did.
A liver.
And she did it because, and I hate to say, I don't want to go into too much, but because I found out I could not donate.
Mm.
And it was actually, I couldn't donate bone marrow because of a procedure I had done before. My mom, for Christmas, gave me an empty box. And I said, oh, it's lovely. And she says, I'm donating a kidney in your name. And I thought, is it my kidney? But no, it turned out a firefighter in Southern Illinois needed a kidney, and she was a match. So she said, of course I'll give you my kidney.
You know, just when I thought I couldn't love you two more, you're giving me reason to.
Oh,
You
thank
two are amazing, amazing human beings.
So we thought it was going to just be on organ donation, but
Yeah.
it exploded quickly, and now we cover any and all diagnoses, and we let people share their story, like
Yes.
and it's been going pretty well.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a chance to talk with amazing, inspiring people like yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what drives us to do it.
Absolutely.
Week after
So
week.
you're asking, why do we do it? Why do we do it without getting paid?
Yeah.
Initially, I had no intention of ever getting paid. I mean, we're both retired military. We're doing pretty good.
Good.
We're doing pretty good. So we didn't really need the income, but I needed to get her motivated again, I mean,
Get her
keep
back
it
in the
up.
game.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Get
You
up,
needed
get out of
purpose.
Yeah.
she was hooah before, and,
Yeah.
and now she was feeling like she wasn't, but now she's
I felt like I had no purpose. I mean, like
That's-
literally at my lowest point, they told me I couldn't even donate blood or bone marrow, and I was like, I can't even donate blood. I mean,
Right.
what? And my mom would be like, you know what though? You are providing carbon dioxide for all those trees and plants out there, and someone needs
Oh
to
my
do
gosh.
it.
Brilliant.
It's like, oh,
Brilliant.
I needed to have a purpose.
yes.
Yes.
So this helped.
Yes.
This helped.
That
And-
yes, 100%. And this is something that we talk about in patients getting paid all the time. If you can have purpose,
Yes.
your mental and your physical health are benefited, no question. And then add an income to it, so much the better. But
Oh,
you're a perfect example of you need purpose in your life. If you just have nothing going on all day long and you have a chronic illness of some sort, you're going to have way too much time on your hands to think about the what ifs and the shoulds. And
Well,
neither of
Mm-hmm.
those are goods.
No.
Kathy, picture this, okay? This has been on my soul for quite a while. I firmly believe that this is the biggest problem, and this is the biggest reason why there are so many veteran suicides. Because there are so many veterans that have lost their purpose. They used to be
Yes.
protecting America. And
Right.
now they are out on the streets.
Yeah,
They
ultimate
don't
purpose
have-
then to nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that is driving it.
Now that you say that, I would agree, because I'm not military and I don't have military. I have a lot of military friends, but not in my family. But I can see this in sort of the chronic population, and it makes sense. So you can extrapolate out. I mean,
Right,
purpose is
right.
just important. Purpose is important to everyone.
Right,
Everyone
right.
needs a purpose, and yours is to share everyone's stories and provide information, inspiration, and motivation for
Yes.
the
Like, we
rest
were
of the
just-
world.
Absolutely. We were recently talking to a mother of twins, and 2 years ago, her teenage daughter, and it was Megan Loden, and 2 years ago, her daughters were in high school, and all of a sudden something happened, and they found out that they have an issue with a familial,
Genetic.
Oh,
a genetic issue,
Mhm.
and that their lives are going to be very different. And she said, from a caregiver's perspective, something she'd like to pass on for a tip is to have, we often as chronic patients have a go bag with all the things we need.
right.
But she said caregivers can really benefit from having a go bag too, because sometimes you're so focused on that, you forget to eat.
Yes.
So it's great to have Tylenol. It's great to have snacks. It's great to have a sweater in case the hospital's cold, a notebook to
Smart.
take notes, and a pen. So tips
Yeah.
like that,
Oh.
I think, make all the difference.
Yes.
And again, drives us to do it because it's like, oh my gosh, we have to get this information out there because
Exactly. You're helping so
it's-
many people. So it's the vision I got in my mind when you said that was dropping, a stone into water and that ripple effect, right? So you just had a conversation one-on-one with this woman, but that ripple effect that can go out into the world and help others is beautiful, and it's so great that you guys are doing this. Really appreciate it, and I'm glad. It sounds like it's filling your soul too, which is
Yes,
really important,
absolutely.
and giving you purpose.
Yes.
Win-win. We all win. Whoop whoop.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get into this book that y'all have written. I mean, you've teased it already. I cannot freaking wait to read this now. That's so exciting. Okay, I
And
mean,
it's my mother, like, oh, I'm sorry, I just hit the microphone, but it's my mother, like, throwing a punch at someone.
yeah, I can't see it, but I
okay.
will if I
Sorry.
can grab a,
We'll
if you guys
zoom
can.
in.
Yes, we'll send you a
picture,
screenshot.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yes.
please do, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll put that in with the show
Yeah.
notes and everything. But so I mean, I'm picking up on what you were putting down earlier. It sounds like you started this when you were at Duke. Is that correct? Is that
Yes,
you
we did.
started
Started
right?
writing,
So in
yes.
like 2017.
Yeah.
Right.
So tell us, what's it about? And I mean, it sounds like it's about a lot.
It is about a lot.
Oh,
It's about a lot. It's going to be released March 29th, and
Okay.
the title is Lita and Jean, Memoirs of Two Generations of Military Women.
Mm.
My mom joined the military, and then about 20 years later, I joined.
Wow.
And it was fascinating for us to see how things had changed and how things remained the same. And
Oh yeah, I
all of that.
bet.
And then, although we were paid for this work, we didn't write the book to make money. That was never really our goal. We actually tried to give the money back a couple of times.
Of course you did.
But
Good Lord.
this
We're
memoir
going to put
is an
Saint in front of both of your names.
Oh, no.
No.
Wait until
Do I need to read the book first? Okay.
Yes. Then make your decisions. Then decide.
But no, I'll take it for today.
Okay.
But
Okay.
remember, it's an extension, though, of that desire to help people.
Yeah.
And I think it provides our readers with hope. They can overcome things, and it shows how we overcame. And then we even have resources at the back. If someone finds himself in a situation, there's a few resources there that they can go to. And then also that you can affect change. You may be one
Yes.
person, but there are a lot of people like you out there. And if there's something that needs to be changed, you can affect that change.
Right.
And so I
Love
think that was
that.
vital for us to get
Yeah.
that message out as well.
And also how important it is to stand up for yourself
Yes.
and advocate for yourself, especially in the military. I know that this isn't a military podcast, but in the military, you kind of count on the echelons above you to support you, but
Right.
you have to kind of do it for yourself as well. You can't just leave it up to them because
Sure.
they have other important things to do too, and you might have a problem and you might get dropped in the
Yeah.
cracks.
Right.
Missed.
And it was, like you said, took us quite a while to get through this.
Yeah, years.
It was very, very emotionally painful.
Really?
Trying to
Like reliving stuff?
Yes.
relive it and then describe everything in detail so it's super clear to everyone. That was very, very hard for both of us. We do see a counselor every week.
Every week. I just got the reminder call.
Strongly advocate for that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And then we are
But I imagine, was it also cathartic? I mean,
It was.
absolutely.
so
It was.
emotionally difficult, but then did you feel like, okay, I can release that?
Yes, and I think they
Yes.
say talking about like a traumatic event over and
Yes.
over and over again, it kind of desensitizes you to
Yes.
it. So I think that's helpful as well.
The fact that we pushed it all behind us and just kind of went along with our lives without really
Dealing.
processing it.
And
Yes.
I think
Yes.
it's brought us closer together. I would say we're friends and mother and daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
I think
comes
it's strengthened
across.
that.
Yeah.
It's strengthened that friendship, which has been amazing.
That's,
And yeah, it's
you
been
too. You too
it's been a
just
process.
Right.
make my
and then
heart
if
sing.
someone, oh, thank you.
You do.
And for your listeners out there, if
If you're interested in writing, having your work published, earning a living like that,
Yes.
what you need to do is you need to write every day.
Right every day.
Maybe,
Okay.
Maybe you could start with a blog that
Yes.
can be converted into an ebook.
and if you're living with a chronic condition, writing can be something that you might want to go into, and you don't necessarily have to be there at a keyboard. You can write in a notebook. You can use something like Dragon Speaks, where you actually speak out loud and it records what you're saying.
Yes.
Converts it to text. And then don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about chapter headings or titling your work. Just get your words out there. And
Yeah.
as part of the process and revising, you'll end up correcting those mistakes. And just don't worry about it. And
Don't edit yourself. Just get it out.
Just get it out there.
Yeah.
And then there are apps that can go back, like Grammarly, and edit your work for you and help you find clarity as well. And then you can also hire an editor if that's something you really want to do.
Yeah.
And then one of the best ways to see if your work actually flows and makes sense and catch those things that you might gloss over when you're reading, to yourself, is to use the read aloud feature, which is found on many word processing programs, like Google and
it'll
Word.
read it to you.
Yeah,
It sounds very mechanical, like a robot,
right?
But it still reads it to you.
And then you can catch mistakes.
Or
Brilliant.
You can read it out loud yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Like I found myself reading it out loud to my dogs.
And what did they have to say?
They didn't give me.
Did
much
they
of a
fall
review.
asleep or okay?
Yeah, not much of a review.
They're looking for new owner. No.
Yeah.
But at least it got me, because as you read it out loud, you say, "Oh, maybe that could be adjusted a little bit."
Right. You hear
but
it differently.
There are many blogs out there that you can add to. You can research and you can find blogs that are already in existence that you might be able to add to
and do a guest post.
Right.
And then there's one organization that I really like. It's called the National Novel Writing Month Organization, and I'll give you the link to that.
Great.
It's NANOWRIMO.org, and they provide free motivation and support to writers. And their goal is to have you write a book in a month.
Whoa.
Well,
I love
You're
that.
writing the book, and then you might come back for the next session and revise and edit. But it's just giving you that extra push that you might need. And they have
Yes.
local chapters, so they might have somebody in your actual community that can help you, and they're just very supportive. And they have prompts and lots of advice.
Oh my
and
gosh.
There's tons of free information out there, so I would definitely take advantage of that.
Wonderful
and then-
resources you're spitting out here.
No problem. And then once your project is actually finished, you'll probably send an outline and 1 or 2 chapters out.
Okay.
If you're looking for a literary agent or a publisher.
Yes. Okay.
And then if, for example, if your novel is on historical, is a horror book set in a historical setting, you want to find someone that specializes in that genre.
Okay.
And
All
seek
right.
them out, because they will know what it takes to make it in that genre, and they'll be looking for more wonderful work in that genre as well, and they can have advice and other ways to go for you. And then there are also small imprints. So an author who has really set themselves up and they have a plethora of work out there, they might decide that they want to recruit other authors and other work to their publisher. So Penguin Press might give a small imprint to one of their authors. And you might want to seek that out, because if someone is looking for individuals with just a different perspective, a different way of life, or a chronic health condition, that would be where I would go first, because it's a smaller subset of that huge publishing empire.
How do you find small imprints?
I would type in imprint and whatever it is you're interested in writing.
Okay. Oh.
And then also, I have an app on my phone, Apple News, and I have, imprint listed as one of the keywords. So if there's a news article that comes up, or about memoirs, or about, whatever, so that it'll pop up and it'll say, oh, so-and-so just got an imprint, and this is what they're looking for. And I think that's a great way to go. And there's writing competitions. Yeah. And if you're, say you just want to start small and, test your writing chops, you could submit for different periodicals, magazines. Just do a short section of an anthology. Find out if other chronic patients are going to be putting their work together and consolidating it into one work.
Yeah. Love that.
As well. And then there are literary magazines. So if you can seek out, really based on what it is that you're doing, or even, your local hospital, write a guest article for their newsletter.
Oh, brilliant.
And
Great
every
idea.
little bit gets you out there. And the more you get out there, and it's very hard when you have a chronic condition to get out there, you meet new people, and you expand your group.
Yeah.
And they can lead you to other people.
How about social media?
Oh yeah, and social media. A lot of people will use social media to build up an audience.
But also to reach out and find.
Yes, and find people.
Yeah.
And then you can take that social media, for example, people post about like they love old houses. And then they turn that into a book, and then they turn that book into a TV show, or they love to bake, and they're posting their baked items, and then they have a cookbook.
Yeah.
So it can really snowball.
Yeah, build
But
your
you have to
audience there, and then
if you can do something a little bit every day.
Right.
Love that.
There are Facebook groups that I have joined, and people could search for that help support small time writers or beginning writers. I'm looking through my list here. Memoir, autobiography, and nonfiction book lovers club, things like that.
Okay.
So if you go on Facebook, memoir writing group,
Whatever it is that you're specifically
specifically interested
there's a group
in,
out there to support you.
And that will definitely marry you in with publishers, editors, everything.
Oh, fantastic. That was going to be my... Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was going to say, just proving that you can write and that you're willing to put the time and effort in makes a big difference.
Jean wrote another book, too.
Well, of course she did. What?
It's in the basement.
It's in the basement in a box. But we're not going to talk about that one.
Jean.
We did receive an advance, and we will receive royalties for this book, which is great.
That is great.
And if you're interested in writing a book, article, blog, anything, and someone's saying, "Oh yeah, you can write for us, but you have to pay us."
Yeah.
Run the other way.
Run to the hills. Yeah.
You should be getting paid for your work and your effort.
I love that. Great advice. Yeah. There's scam artists all over the place. Yeah.
There's a title for that type of person.
No, but
bullshit artist.
Yeah, they're trying
Scammer.
to make money.
Yeah,
they're trying to make money.
You don't want that.
No.
You want support. You want help.
Right.
You want to get paid.
Right.
So
100%.
People out there willing to do that.
Yes.
And also remember, writing is part of it. Revising is another big part, and then marketing after all the writing is done. That's going to be just as big of a job. That's why people who write on a regular basis, they kind of roll the marketing right in, and it all becomes just a whole.
It's a lifestyle.
It is. It's
a
lifestyle.
Right.
It's a great,
As we're talking, I'm thinking, because so many people in Patients Getting Paid are very interested in writing, whether that would be sort of their mainstay or something kind of on the side and doing some gig work and whatnot. And I'm thinking out loud here that maybe I will spin off and kind of have a group within PGP for writing, because what you're saying, the first thing you started saying when we were talking about this, Lita, was write every day. Write every day. So I know in PGP what has been super helpful to a lot of people and super popular is the Motivation Monday and Finished It Friday. And it's because you post it and you're more likely to accomplish it, right? There's accountability there. You have kind of shared what you're going to do. So maybe I'll put together something for writers, and everybody can talk about what they're writing. We can help each other. I'm liking this more and more.
Writing Wednesday.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I like it.
Writing Wednesdays.
That's good. That is good. So, and I think you kind of answered this, but in saying, kind of find your tribe, basically, and within that, then you'll find editors and publishers. Did you have that, how am I saying this? I know you had the idea for the book. Did you seek out a publisher first, or you just started writing?
The way that I remember it, and this might not be correct, but the way that I remember it is we were asked to give a speech at an event. Mm-hmm. And my mom said, "Oh, no, you are going to give the speech at the event." And I was like, "Oh, that's wonderful. I'm just learning to stand up on my own, and I'm going to give a speech in front of a bunch of people." So I gave a speech, and I was talking about how things have changed in 20 years, or in that 20-year gap between my mother's enlistment and mine, but how things had remained the same and what changes I hope to see in the future. And then we were contacted by the publisher, and they said, we're interested in your story, and we were wondering if you would be willing to write for us. And we were like, we never really thought about being writers.
But yes.
I do love, and I love books. I mean, I love everything about books. I'm one of those people that on Tuesday I'm like ever so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's new release Tuesday, and I cannot wait to see what's on the shelf.
Yeah, hashtag book nerd. Love it. Me too, sister.
Yes. Oh yes. So
Me too.
I was like, oh, I can't believe, like I never thought that
We
my
would
name
write
would
it. No. No.
Yeah, your
It
names
just
are going to
kinda-
be up there.
I
It
know,
just kind of
it's
fell
very
on us.
exciting.
Yes.
Yes.
Ah,
Very exciting.
but okay, so you're just
We did
dropping
it
pearls
backwards.
of knowledge though, because
Yes.
what I wanted to say though, and what we talk about a lot in PGP is getting out there and like sharing your intention, sharing your hopes, sharing your goals, whatever, because you don't know who's listening and you don't know who, what I'm seeing a lot, we do co-workings, we do members only coaching calls, and it's all those people show up and we talk about different, well, what's going on with you and what's your issue and how can we help you? And what I'm seeing is people coming together and saying, well, I can help you. I know such and such that could help you. And it's this group think and it's this intention of we're all here to help each other. And it's that really moves the needle, right?
Yes.
Because there's
Yes.
accountability and there's caring and support and there's I know somebody that can help you and I'm happy to introduce you. And that's huge.
Right.
And so doing a speech, right? This publisher heard of you and reached out to you. You just never know. I just
No, we
think
don't. Yeah.
put it out there and
Yes.
I would say 9 times out of 10 when I've done that, I have been rewarded with the next step. It's like it's just delivered to me. I put it out there and then it becomes obvious. Here's, the next thing in the path opens up.
Yes.
So, love that story. So, okay, you are not currently compensated for your podcast, but I'm thinking somebody's going to come along and want to sponsor you guys because
Well,
it's awesome.
I've already turned down sponsors because I don't.
Girl,
Depending on what they.
Yeah, I really
Well,
don't
sure.
want to. Well, most of the people that want to
We've
sponsor
had some
us.
interesting requests.
Yeah. But
I
what I'm
bet.
thinking of
Me
doing,
too.
if we, I'm thinking long term, and I'm thinking of maybe having a page on our, we have a web page, or we have a website, and each of our guests gets their own page. But I'm thinking of maybe having a medical supply outlet.
yeah.
Where
I guess
people-
just where it's kind of like Amazon.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
tailored to
Every
those
condition.
specific conditions.
And all
Yes.
of those
So you don't have to go.
recommendations.
You don't have to go searching. So
Yes.
when I
Oh, I
do
love
yours
that.
on MS, I would have links on your page for
Right.
everything that you would need as an MS patient that you could purchase, and you could purchase it through us, or you could go elsewhere. But maybe I'll have links for that so that we could get a little bit of a
Yes.
pie down the line.
Affiliate links.
But
Right.
yes.
This is what we talk about in PGP a lot because I'm like,
Right.
links so helpful to others. Make sure they're affiliates.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, for you. Brilliant. But you with this book now, you just mentioned you did, see in advance and you will get paid for this, even though you tried to give it back. You
Yeah.
sainted people, although we haven't read the book yet. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
point being, since this is patients getting paid, that there are avenues if you so chose.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Correct. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I like that.
And we are in a unique position because I served for 20 years. My mom served for 23. We do have a retirement and health benefits.
That was my next question because the first question everybody wants to know getting into PGP is how can I monetize? How can I make money? And the second one is tell me about how to deal with health insurance. Here in the U.S., obviously, we've got people all over the world, but who are shaking their heads at us, by the way, going, why don't you, what's this health insurance you speak of? But you have that through your military retirement.
Right.
So that's wonderful. Good. And I don't think I've said it yet, but I do want to thank you both for your service. Very much appreciate all of our military. And so thank you for everything that you've done. And thank you for doing this. This PodcastDX of yours is awesome and it's so helpful. And as we've talked about today, just the ripples that can have. And you are facilitating that and putting out good stuff in the world. And as we've learned more and more about you today, I see that is obviously your motivation across your life, and you're helping the world in so many ways. So I'm so grateful to get to be in your world, and I have enjoyed meeting you all. I feel like we met a long time ago, but whatever. I feel like I've known you forever, and I'm so appreciative for everything that you all do and for sharing all of this today, because this is really going to help inspire others to know that they can do this too. Lita, you are a member of Patients Getting Paid,
Yes.
and I'm just wondering, what do you think? Like, could you share what you find most valuable in Patients Getting Paid? What will be helpful to other folks if they want to join in?
I think just the networking aspect of it, the fact that you never know who you're going to be in contact with, like you were saying, and how they might be able to open a door for you in the future.
Yes.
And that there are countless flexible work from home options.
Yes.
I've done a couple of, customer service type calls.
Uh-huh.
I've done crafting and selling on Etsy and eBay.
Uh-huh.
So
Great.
there are many, and within your own, if you stay in your own tiny world, then that's the only world that you know. But if you join Patients Getting Paid, then you're learning about other people's ideas, and you're expanding your ideas.
And it can be inspiring.
Yes, it can inspire you to do something completely different.
Oh, I love that. Good. You have shared an awful lot of resources, so I'm not going to ask you about any other apps or anything, because you've really helped a lot. But one thing I always ask everybody is about, what do you do for organization? How do you keep things straight? Like, do you do QuickBooks, spreadsheets? How do you, because I really believe, I've come to believe over the years, that organization is the key to the world, right? Especially if you have any memory issues and whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say, for somebody with memory issues, I use the phone app that's called a calendar.
Yes.
And it will have reminders. So
yes.
I'll have a reminder 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before, and then if I didn't get to it, I'll push it forward. But
good.
if I don't have reminders on my phone, I'm lost.
Yeah.
So I have reminders for everything on my phone.
Me
and
too.
also just a reminder, for post to social media today, at this time.
Yes.
Write just for 20 minutes on the blog at this time. And that does seem to be extremely helpful. We also use Acuity for scheduling, and that works for us.
Good one. That's for scheduling out social posts.
It's also for scheduling also guests that are coming on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And anything like that as well. And actually,
Smart.
it's a way for us to get information in advance and keep it all organized. And then it sends our guests reminder. It sends us reminders.
Us organized. Right.
Yeah, and there are lots of programs out there for things
yes,
like that. But
love
just
that.
find one that works for you. And then this is an odd one, but I think it helps me quite a bit for my productivity. Is we both have Garmin watches.
Oh yeah.
And they buzz when our stress levels are getting too high or our pain levels are getting too high.
I have to just stop you for a second, because right when you said that, my Fitbit started buzzing. Isn't that hilarious?
Oh.
But it's for me to stretch my shoulders, because my shoulders are jacked up. But I have it set to remind me, because
And it watches or it monitors our heart rate. And when you are in a flight or fight response, your heart rate becomes very regular. Otherwise, it's kind of variable. So it'll say, you're in that fight or flight. There's a reason for that. Are you in pain? Are you stressed? Do you need to take a break? And
it makes you aware.
Yes, and I'll catch before I am actually getting, realizing that I'm having a migraine. My watch will know ahead of time.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'll stop working. I'll put things aside. I'll, take some deep breaths, medicate if necessary, ice, whatever it is. But I think that does help with productivity.
Brilliant.
I'm not pushing through the pain.
Right.
And then paying for it for days. As many of us know out there.
Yes.
You have to watch it.
That's
and then,
brilliant.
I think those are really helpful things. And then and if you're unable to type at the moment, or
Dragon Speak?
Yeah, Dragon Speak, or any of, I think a lot of word processing programs now allow you to speak, and it converts your speech to text.
Yeah.
That can be very useful.
That's huge too. Yeah.
Especially
Oh my
if you want
gosh.
to write.
Y'all are just so full of great resources. Have you all incorporated or filed as an LLC, and do you recommend starting like that, like with a legal structure in place?
we did for our podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
My
good.
first thing with the podcast is
Don't get sued.
don't get sued. Cover your ass.
That's a good one.
I don't know if we
because,
can say
you know,
ass on here, but
You can-
when you're talking
please.
about medical, you
Okay.
know, when you're talking medical
stuff.
you got to make sure that
Yes.
you're not
Yes.
going to get yourself in trouble.
so you want to make sure
Truth.
that you have, in that kind of situation, your insurance, you want liability insurance, and you want to make sure that you are meeting all the federal and state regulations.
Yes,
Because
good.
when you're putting it out to the whole world, you
Right.
don't want to be stepping on somebody's toes and then you get
Right.
taken down later because you didn't realize that you did something
Right.
wrong. So,
And
So
one day,
true.
if this is a revenue stream,
yeah,
then
we'll need
the
it.
IRS will be happy too.
Yes, yes, they will.
Right now, they're just like, why?
Yeah, why do you do
Right.
this?
What advice would you all give to other chronics who want to do something more flexible or remote, either full time or as a side hustle? I mean, other than join patients getting paid, of course.
My advice is to stay true to yourself.
Okay.
Find something that you enjoy doing that is from your heart, that you're not forcing. Because if you have to force it, and if it's a pressure, you don't need more stress, right? You already got
Truth.
stress from being chronically ill.
Right.
Do something that really feels good for you.
And also, I mean, but like patients getting paid, it can inspire you to find that avenue, because it might,
Yeah.
they might, someone else might have an idea, and you're like, yeah, that would work for me. And
Yeah.
also having a group that provides accountability, I think, is really
yes.
important. If you have a chronic health condition,
Get you up every
it can
day.
be very challenging.
Yes.
Yes.
Get you up every day. Get you motivated. Get you going to
Yeah.
the next day.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
And
that.
thinking long term, because sometimes you're stuck in, today is hard, today is painful, today is difficult. You need to look beyond it.
Yeah.
And think, well, tomorrow, what am I going to be doing tomorrow? What am I going to do the next day? And
Yes.
that can reframe your
The
whole
sun
mindset.
will come out tomorrow. Yes, I love that. Great, great advice, ladies. So if people want to learn more about you two and listen to your podcast or learn more about your book, where should they go?
You can go to litaandjean.com, which is LITAANDJEAN.com. You can go to PodcastDX, which is podcast and then D as in Delta, X as in X-ray, .com. We're on all the different social media things. We're on TikTok, Zoom, or not, I was going to say Zoom. Yeah, we're on Zoom right now.
Right now.
TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest,
Metra.
Instagram. Yeah.
Good
yeah.
gracious, you
So
ladies are
wherever
everywhere.
You're looking, yes. If you're
Yeah.
if you're looking for inspiration for like military outfits, military inspired fashion, we have that. Book design, we have that. Publishing information, we have
Wow.
that. Yeah. So and that's all on our Pinterest. So
Y'all are
But you have to write
busy.
out the A and D.
A&D.
Lita
Okay.
and
And
Jean.
Jean.
Yeah,
Oh,
not just
good.
the-
Okay.
and if you look up Lita Jeans, you will find Wrangler Lita Jeans everywhere. And
Okay,
hopefully
good
you
to
can
know.
find your size.
Right.
Yep.
Good to know. Well, and all of those, I'll put all of those links in the show notes. So,
And you can get our book wherever you find whatever local bookstore near you. You can, if they don't have it in stock, they
On
will
March
be.
29th.
Yes, they'll be happy to order it for you.
excellent.
And also Amazon, Barnes and Noble, all of those.
Oh my
as
gosh.
well.
Well, congratulations, ladies. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you came on and shared all of this fantastic information with us today and all the resources. I'm grateful just that, we share this world together because you all are really gems, and
Thank you, Kathy.
we need more of y'all in this world. Thank you for being here and sharing everything. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Best of luck on your book launch, and
you.
come back and let us know how it goes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I will. Thank you. See you in the future.
Yes, have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.